Yeah. Today we are going to discuss about continuous insights. So how the agile practice will work on data applications. So what are all the key differences between agile project lifecycle in custom development, custom software development, and how it is different in data projects. We're gonna that. So let's quickly dive into the agenda. So the self-introduction, I think that is already done. So we're gonna see about what constitute a data project and how. So let's understand what is data project and how it is working in real world. And we're gonna talk about some hypothetical company which is Kekron Mekron Limited, and we have some business game, and also we're gonna discuss about fallacies of data project. Then the action first approach, which is meant to data projects, and we're gonna play a next round of business game, and finally we will end up the session with dual track delivery model. Yeah. So people feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions, or if you have any thoughts, please unmute yourself and share your thoughts. So we are interested to hear from you. So this is going to be the interactive session. So feel free to unmute yourself and share your thought. So yes, so the data is going to be the new oil to the entire world, like from the industrial era. So the oil is it's the biggest resource for the industrial era. So similarly, in the information era, data is going to be going to be the valuable one in the information era. So everyone wants to have their data and have their analytics, machine learning models, a lot of things they want to possess, a lot of things they want to have it in their organizations. So let's see the hypothetical company, which is Kekron Mekron Limited. So let's understand how the company is working and how their data project is. So basically, Kekron Mekron is a Fortune 500 real estate company, which is headquarters in Dubai. So this company have a huge presence in US, Asia, and Middle East, basically around the globe. Yeah. So historically, if you see the growth of the company, they are growing based on a lot of acquisition and mergers, which means so a lot of systems in the company, a lot of silos in the company. So the same data, which is same kind of a data, which is residing in multiple systems. Yeah. So one day the CTO heard about data-driven companies and data analytics, ML models, and everything. So he wants to build such a thing for his company. So he called for a meeting with seniors, and he wants to allocate a budget for the biggest project in biggest IT project. So he wants to consolidate all the data and see the analytics results and machine learning models. So he formed the data team, okay, with an experienced data scientist, data engineers, and data BAs to focus on this particular effort. Yeah. So hopefully you will get to know this, right? So in Tamil film, he is asking for, can we stay here or can we go back to Dubai? Some sort of astrologer is answering that question. Similarly, here in organization, the data team is responsible for to answer such a questions. Yeah. So let's get into the game. So now you got a situation of Kekron Mekron company. and now you are going to propose a plan for that company to become a data driven organization. Okay, and the rules will be very simple. So you are going to split into 5 members team each. So you will be available with the list of data, not the actual data, don't worry about it. So you will be available with a list of data, and also assume that you got enough budget to execute your plan. So you can hire a data scientist, yes, you can hire, you want a data engineers, developers, whoever they want, I mean, whoever you want, you can get that. So you have enough budget to do all those things. So there is a small hint. We will give you the list of all the activities. You can play around with that activity, and you can come up with a plan for the organization. Any questions so far?
Yeah, so we will set the rules just for the others, right? So it's going to be more of an interactive and group activity kind of a session where we'll learn together.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Saravana will show. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, one more thing, Jagan. So so the round one will be you have to answer possible questions from CEO. So actually, you don't really answer to that question, whereas you have to come up with a plan to answer that particular problem or question. Okay. So also you have to plan for your resources and how much time it will take you for answer those questions. You have to come up with that as well. So also we will at the end of this game we will ask two of random teams to present their ideas. Yes, the expected outcome will be a project plan and activities and timelines. And if you want, you can also include a resource plan as well. How many people you want, what are all their roles you want. You can explain all those things.
Does this make sense to you all? I mean, we want to understand if you have any questions and any clarifications that you need.
Yes. Do we also need to do the cost benefit analysis for any?
Yeah, we don't want you to go into detail, but at a high level, right? At a very high level, what are the things that you would do, right? So Saravana will show you some of the tools that we plan to use for this. So, it's very high level things. You don't have to do specific cost benefit analysis and stuff like that. Nor we should get into build versus buy and those kind of things, right? So just focus on very top level plan. What is your plan will look like? Does that make sense?
Yes, sure.
Okay, cool. Anybody else questions before we show you the tools? Okay.
I think no questions. Okay. So the tool is very simple. Let's assume this is like a Gantt chart. So which is providing the steps that make steps for the executing that plan. So you have to come up with a series of steps to execute to complete the given a hypothesis or question from the CEO. Yeah. So you will get a drop down, which is basically give you the list of activities. So why we are bringing this is because if we let you freely, so this will overcomplicate the game. So we thought of reducing it to a given path, so related to data. So we have given a list of activities related to data. You have to select which activity you want to do on top of which particular data set you want to do that activity. Yeah. So you can seriously execute a task for a given hypothesis or question. Yeah. Any questions so far? Okay, the questions will be like this. So you will give up with the hypothesis or metrics questions, so with the priority and their story point, and also data needs to solve that particular question. Yeah. You can use this sheet as a reference. Yeah. So I think Jagan said he will assign a breakout rooms to you, so you can use the according breakout sheet. I mean breakout room sheets for your activity, and at the end of this game, we will ask you to present.
Okay. So what will I mean, if you don't get something, you probably will assign people. I see there are 30 plus audiences, so I'll assign into 5 teams of 6 people each. We'll put a mix of people. There are people who already know some data, so you can also look at what each task means here, right?
Yep.
Based on the description. So it's going to be you can figure out, probably get to know yourself. First 2 minutes you guys can discuss within yourself, introduce yourself, and then see how you can come up with a plan. So it need not be very exhaustive one, and don't get into data. We are not solving a data problem here. We are just talking about the process to how to solve that, right? So there is a link that Shankar has provided. So before that, yeah, in that breakout room, I would suggest it will be a different, each one of you will be into a different Zoom meeting. So we will probably 10 minutes, Shankar, should be fine.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
We
So
will have
we'll
10
give
minutes.
you 10 minutes, and probably after that you can leave yourself, or we can end the breakout room and you'll be back to the main Zoom session, right? So right now I'll assign people into the breakout rooms. So I'm going to create 5 rooms of 6 each. I'll assign people. So you can use the sheet, like the breakout room names, the same thing, you can use it. So probably let me assign people.
In the meantime, any questions on the tool that we are going to use? Is everybody comfortable with this tool?
So the shared sheet, right, Shankar, or is it going to be the other game?
No, we'll be using a shared sheet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I'm just assigning people. So
Shankar, Senthil here. So this might be a dumb question, but still asking it out.
Yeah, feel
So
free.
the
Yeah.
expectation is, so we have a set of questions that we are expected to answer, correct, right? So we have 4 to 5 questions, and let's take the first question, right? Say if you invest in building a multi-story apartment in Chennai, there will be more people ready to buy them. So what you would want us to do is go to this specific breakout room, this Excel sheet, have this set of instructions you have, right? Say, we just
No, yeah, irrespective of the questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that you would need, right, to solve this problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
First, in this, let's take an example, right? First one, we may need the competitive data, right?
Okay.
Sometimes we also need, so we need to collect that data, right? So if you go to the, Saravana, would you go back to the demo sheet? Yeah.
Yep.
So we may want to build the data lake and full, or we can build the data lake for only for that particular data set. For example, collect data, and then we can, would you select another one?
So those of you, you will get a breakout room. Just accept it. So you can. I'm just going to be random.
Sorry, Jagan, I was answering this question with.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
With Senthil, right? For those of
Senthil.
them who don't
Yes.
have questions, I'm assigning them. So
Yeah, is Senthil still here?
Yeah, I'm here, Shankar. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, because Saravana got assigned to a different room. So let me share my screen.
Fine. I understood what you were trying to say, but yeah, please feel free to share.
Yeah. So the idea is that, you
Sendil, or which room you are in? Sorry, Shankar. I can put Sendil in the same room. That's also will work.
Yeah,
That's fine. Second sharing. Yeah.
that is okay. Let me complete this
Yeah.
because
Okay. Cool.
yeah.
Okay.
So let's say we collect data, right? So collect data, maybe competitive data or project data or housing data. So this combination becomes an activity, right? So we are collecting data of housing data, right? Does it make sense to you, Sandip?
Okay.
Breakout room 1.
Anybody wants to explain from the breakout room 1 how you arrived at it or something?
Hey, hi, Gayatri here. So I was also a part of the breakout room 1. So we didn't realize that we had done so much unless and until we had a look at the rest of the tabs, and we thought we would split it among ourselves. Then we had a quick catch up of how we had done and how each of us arrived at one of. I would actually call up Asif or Sangeeta, Rupendran, maybe to explain one of it. Asif, Sangeeta, one of you.
Hello.
Hi, we can hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
So I was on the second question. Second question is, what will be the construction cost if we invest in the multi-story apartment? So I was just collected the raw material data, and then next is what is useful, like labor cost data and project data. So first, before analyzing those data, we just went through an audit on the data. So we want to be the data to be accurate. So after that, we can build a dashboard on the things what it was like. So whenever there is will be a construction, there won't be like it won't be it will take so long, right? So that the cost won't be the cost will be like variable at a different part of time. So it will be helpful if you have a dashboard for that. That's what I'm thinking. Sangeeta,
Okay.
can we have on second question 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the question I got is.
Yep.
The question I got is, does building design affects house selling? So my analysis, what I thought that we can do for that question is, the major data for getting into a design type of thing is first thing, the project data, which means what else we gonna do, and second is the geocultural data, because based on simply when it comes to a design, it may vary from in each places, even in countries, states and districts, whatever it may be differ based on the geocultural data. So I took it. And the third thing is like house selling data. So why I took the house selling data is like, so we can just predict or analyze the house selling data based on the design data. So which different types of design have been sold out so soon, or so I want to take that type of analysis from the house selling data. So I took house selling data to collect the data. And second one is like, so first I have to analyze the geocultural data, because my question is based on design. So first thing is like, I have to make a simple analyzation and just a visualization of data based on the geocultural data. And after that I have to analyze the house selling data, which for that I go to build the AI model in order to predict based on which the house have been sold as per the designs, maybe as per the designs also. So after that, the usual thing, the visualizations, and probably to the reports.
Cool.
So, Sarah, maybe in the interest of time, you can just show the other tabs, whichever interests you or something. You can ask them to explain. Otherwise, so one of the teams has done on all data. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Competitive data, collect data, build data. Okay, interesting.
Okay. So this is my team actually.
Okay.
Anyone wants to present? Yeah. Okay, big silence. Let's move on. Yeah. So anyone from breakout room 5? Would you like to present your?
I was part of this. Veena, you want to go? I don't see. Okay, we just took one piece of data and moved. We didn't take multiple. So we took competitive data, ran through the process, what we think was logical. We are not sure we are right, or I mean, whatever we thought it's right, we just did that way.
Okay. Okay. So cool. Yeah, that sounds great. So a lot of contributions. So let's go back to our original Kekran Mekran company. Yeah. So. So like you in Kekran Mekran, the team that the data team also have some assumptions and have some plan for execution. So let's go with an assumption. So so the assumption is so we have to put a right data in front of user, because the data is within its silos. So we have to get the data and we have to put in front of the user. People will get more value from that data. So I think we need to move from reports to AI-based system. I think someone suggested that. Yeah. The reports, instead of building a report, we need to build some sort of an AI to help the company's strategy. Yeah. So so once the report has been generated and we are presented that to the people, so only thing we need to do is we need to update the reports. The people will keep on use that report. And yeah, the real-time dashboards, if you want to if you have a high-level sales dashboards, so those kind of thing will represent the actual business business in the real world. And we have the Kekran Mekran have some plan as well. So they are building a huge data lake, which is comprises of all the datas. So they hired a data scientist, and data scientist come up with a model. So not just a model, he's doing an analysis on various model. He will come up with a right model for a given scenario. So the data team, yes, we have our data explorers who will help us to empower every part of organizations, because we have data in all over the organizations. We need a data team to look into all those data and get the insights from all those data. And the different stakeholders have, like if you build some huge dashboard with multiple data, the people will understand those. People will see people will see the report, will get the status of the organization, and they will continue to use those dashboards. So this is our plan from Kekran Mekran. Yeah. So after 2 years, yeah. So most of the data from US and Europe and Middle East, they are available in data lake. Yeah. However, since we are merging even more bigger companies from around the globe, so the systems that are holding the data is increasing. So we need to collect all those data to generate a more accurate insights. So the few reports and dashboards are built with a less adoption. I don't know people are using it or not. We don't have an answer. And there is a couple of AI based systems. and their result and impact yet to be ascertained. Yeah. So finally, CTO is unhappy with that plan and assumptions. So he wants to pull the plug of the data team. So does this story sounds familiar to you?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Where do you think that is happening?
That is happening because we are given with a problem statement, and we arrive to the some model. And after some time, we are not assessing that particular thing whether it really works for the current situation or not. So, and we are living as it is because we built, and that time it was that was the solution to the problem was given. So, and now we see we may be having the different problems and different stories that need to be derived. So people will feel this is not the right data source to refer to. So probably they will lose interest to look into this information.
Exactly right. Right. Now, Sarana, we can go to the next step.
So the assumptions of data project. Yeah.
Because I think Upendran, what you are trying to say is some of the assumptions of the data project has changed as a course of time, right? And we are currently questioning those assumptions here.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a lot of assumptions on data project. Yeah, but we call it as a fallacies of big data and ML world. Yeah. So whatever you are assuming will not work out in big data world. Yeah. Yes. So I think we can go ahead with how we can apply Agile project practices in data. So I will hand over the session to Shankar.
Yeah, you still need to navigate for me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Sarana. So, so we all know from 20 years of experience, right? We know this, that Agile project development has taught us that it is not, if you have to build a car, we shouldn't start with 2 wheels, but rather we should do with minimum viable product, and then the first and the next value and the next value and more, right? So we know this from Agile software development, many years of failure and learning. How can we apply similar practices for data? I think somebody had this question when they introduced themselves. They're curious, how can we apply that? So shall we move to the next one? So we think about Agile in a very lean and methodology principle, which is the Yagni. You are not going to need it, right? So that is the kind of methodology that we are focusing on in terms of building an Agile data project. Every data that we have may not provide gold. What that means is it may not be valuable to the business. Gold, let's say the report we generated or the AI model that we built, it is not always gold. It still needs refinement. Like Upender mentioned, it still needs refinement and upgradation. And even if you build the report and put it in front of customers, the same business, at least in one of our projects that we worked on, there was a business user, there was a management, and then regional stakeholders. There are many people involved, and they all need different structure of data, and the format of data, and what they are looking into the data is entirely different. So if you build a universal dashboard, it's not going to work, right? And another deep insight that we got is every project in the organization is a data project. How many of you agree with this or disagree with this? Because everything that happens is based on data, right? And the most important thing I would say is the next point, which is action beats reports and dashboards and even AA, right? AA comes close because AA is inherently action oriented. But the most important part is the action, how business people are taking action into it, right? So that is the most important thing. I think some of you, build this algorithm and AI models and stuff like that. It is good that we need to go there. But in the meantime, can we get to a stage where we can plug algorithm and remove algorithm, right? That is more important state to be in, instead of working on a particular algorithm in more detail, right? Since every project is a data project, every team is a data team. Any questions or comments before we move on? This is going to be the fundamental tenets on which we are going to build on top of this. Yeah, like Jayan mentioned, you can put, reactions and thank you. Shall we move on to the next page? So based on these principles, right, we call it this action first approach. The action first approach, what it means is somebody takes some action on the business and then it generates some data, right? It could be on the system or outside the system. Every project, any activity somebody does, it generates data, right? Sometimes we may not capture it, but the important idea of data project is to capture that data. So every project owner, everybody who does some, data or action, they should enable teams to collect data. Once you collect data, somebody talked about messaging and, massaging the data and transforming the data and those kind of stuff. Once you make that in a consumable form, that becomes an information, right? And somebody does some analysis on it, you get insights on it. And these insights can power decisions. It'll power decisions, decisions in the sense, if somebody gets an idea that if we build a high-rise building, it is going to be highly profitable for the company. This is an insight. And we can actually take decisions based on this. And that can power action. So this is the action first approach to this whole data project thing. Questions or comments on this one?
So can you just tell again about the action? Like it is something that triggers the process?
Yeah. So let's take an example, right? Let's say somebody starts a new project to build a high-rise building, right? So you will do marketing, right? Or it may start with some of the preliminary paperwork. That always creates some data. Any action that you do will create either data or metadata, right? Sometimes we ignore those. Sometimes we capture those as part of systems, right? That's the action part. When we take a decision, if we sit on it, there is no meaning in it. We have to take some action on it again, right? If you have some insight, we go back and take a decision and then take an action, right? Every action will actually create data. We may not be aware of it, but certainly it will create data. Does it make sense, Dinesh?
Yeah, thanks. Actually, that the decision and action. Decision creates an action. I understood. Okay.
Yeah, decision can power action. Yeah, that's right. First, decision happens before action really comes into play. Sometimes decision owners are different. Sometimes senior managements take decisions. Sometimes action-oriented people, maybe individual sales teams or the ground line executives who operate on it, right? It can be different people. But the idea is there is always a decision, or it could be the same people. Apparently there is a question. How will you determine which data has meaning? Yeah, we are going to come to that in a minute, right? Not every data is gold. We talked about that every day. I mean, and gold is not always gold either, right? So, so we're going to talk about that. So
how to verify whether the decision which we took is a correct decision or not? On what basis we will take that decision?
So let's say we take a decision and then it generates some action, right? That data will have to fit back into the system. Only then you will be able to take, feedback on whether the decision and the insight was right even, right? Sometimes you may have to wait multiple months before you can take a feedback, depending on the business case. Some businesses, for example, companies like Amazon, they have a very short feedback cycle. They have reduced this feedback cycle to 1 or 2 days because they roll out because they are fully digital. Not every business is fully digital, right? Based on these things, that feedback time can actually vary. So you may need to wait till the feedback comes. Only if you have feedback, you will be able to decide whether the insight that you got and the decisions that you made were actually right, or should you do course correction. In some of the projects that we worked on, it is a multi-year feedback cycle. So you do some action today, you may have to wait for nearly a year before you get a feedback. So it is very hard to ascertain your action and decision and the insight was any good or not.
I think in the same thought, we need, in the same way, we can assert the outcome of AI products and outcome of ML models as well. So like human action assertion. Similarly, we can assert the machine learning models output as well. So again, we need to feed those data back to the system. Then only we can get the result. Yeah.
Any other process that we can able to predict it before that? So before waiting for years, sorry. So in spite of waiting for years, whether we could able to do any other?
It purely depends on the business, right? So some businesses we can take a shortcut, do some short evaluation and then get back feedback. Some of the business cycles are long feedback cycles. It just we can simulate things. You can do I think somebody's suggesting hypothesis based testing. You can do these kind of small testing to see whether it is really works. And in some businesses, that hypothesis validation itself is a year-long process. That is because you will not be able to bring back the consolidated group in a single forum to do that kind of testing. So just the situations, right? I'm just giving you an example that we went through, but case to case, it certainly varies.
I think Ashok has a question. Yeah, hypothesis can change. What if the data needed for this hypothesis is cleaned in the past? It was deemed unnecessary. Yeah, Shankar, would you like to add?
Yeah. So this is that's the next point actually. So the store clean process, if you observe, that is actually an iterative process, just like the other steps that is around it. So sometimes you clean the data and then you saw it's not valuable enough, and then you put it away. But you may need to do that with multiple data sets, maybe for different industries, but also based on different time zone. So what you are referring to is based on time, right? Ashok, I think you are focusing on the time aspect of redoing the same work. It is an iterative process, certainly, yes. Similarly, if you observe, this insight generation is not a single day activity either. So I don't know, yeah. So the model generation or the insight generation is also an iterative process. Sometimes you iterate on a short duration, sometimes you iterate after a longer duration. After the clean and curation happens, you take longer time to do this model iteration. So when you, our learning is that, when people are taking decisions, it is not a single, same person who takes the decision. Sometimes, the business users, they may not come to the tool that you are using. They may be using, for example, sales team may be using Salesforce, for example. A customer success team may be using a CRM system, which may have, they may not be able to use any of the report-based tools that we use to, create and, factionize the model. That is like asking the people to come to your tool, rather than taking the data to the tool that they use. So sometimes this productionizing process, you may need to productionize for sales team separately, so that the Salesforce systems can have the right data in place at that time when they are taking decisions, right? Let's say a salesperson picks up the phone and makes a phone call to customer. I mean, are they taking, do they have enough information on the screen before they can take some decisions? Can they suggest new products? Can they upsell something based on the data? So the idea is not just create a model and keep quiet on that, because these business people, they need data in the right tool, right format, before they can take and operationalize the insight that we got, right? So this process of productionizing is also an iterative process. You will not get it right first time. Even if you get it right first time, maybe there'll be separate tools that may need the same data. So all of this come together, and we think that iterative on these areas will give us the right solution.
Yeah. Just a quick time check, Shankar. Maybe people can post the questions, and maybe we can take it a little bit further if that is okay. Or so I think we are
okay. Shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah, feel free to post your questions on the chat as and when it is relevant. Shankar and Saravana will take it up. If we don't have time, we'll have it in the end as a Q&A.
Yeah, so even this session, right, I would suggest let's do it towards the end so that people get to hear everything and then do this session. Is that fair?
Yeah, okay. You mean the breakout again to try out the game?
Yeah. So
okay, yeah, that can be optional as well. Yeah, we can plan it based on time.
Fair.
Okay, let's quickly move it to the next slide. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
So, so we saw the circle of data road. I mean, how the data really moves around, right? How do we really make sure that this can be put into a roadmap, a plan that you just, just like the exercise that you went through, right? So we propose a dual track delivery approach for this. So we're not doing anything great here. We are just reusing the same circle, but in a more linear form, so that you get to know that. So we do collect and also do cleaning. So we club all of these activities into a process called data collection and cleaning, instead of separating that out. We apply data science in the sense it could be model creation, it could be just small analysis, It could be coming up with the averages and the mean and median and things like that. And that is also an iterative process. We looked into that, right? So what it gives us is, because this is like running a query on a server of billions of records and then just seeing one-time insight. This is one-time insight that you get. These insight can be directly applied to a business decision and then operationalize that as well, right? So this operationalizing and business decision is actually should be given to the individual teams and the business teams there, right? Sometimes it is the technical team who take decisions. Sometimes it is the business teams who take decisions. So this is one-time insight. Can we make it permanent, right? For that we need other team support. For example, the engineering team support. These are the teams who does the ETL jobs and then take the data, that the code that is generated by the data scientists, and then make it productionizable. You know, they make it really work across multiple data sets, and also run that on a regular basis. Run it on a regular basis and see how this works, right? And then put it in front of the same customers or same business teams who take decisions and operationalize and execute it, right? So the alternating between the data science and data engineering part, this is what we call it as the dual track approach. So there is some amount of data science while the engineering team is collecting data for the next step. And then there is some more data science and there is more. Questions before we move on?
Seems like no question. I think we got one.
Yep, you are right. So Bharat has asked this question. Based on model accuracy with relevant data sets, we can take decisions. Yeah, you can, this is you're talking about maybe ML or those kind of systems where there is a feedback loop directly from, let me just annotate this, right? There is a feedback loop all the way from the operationalizing part back into this. There is one-time feedback that you can get. But if you want continuous feedback, that there is some amount of intervention is needed. It could be ML engineers who are trying to tune the model. Need not be data scientists. It is the ML engineers who tune the model parameters and then redeploy that. You know, sometimes it is the data scientists themselves who do this activity. Does that make sense to you, Bharat?
Shankar, one quick question out there. So, you know,
Sure.
got a gist of, we are looking for a dual track, but what are we trying to achieve? Is it something we are running parallel streams and taking care of, as you said, data engineering as a parallel thing, or how this should be visualized, you know, when we are talking about a dual track delivery approach?
So yeah, I'm going to talk about the prioritization in a minute, because what is the end goal, right? That is what you are asking. Why we are doing all these things?
Yeah.
Yeah. So shall we move on to the next one? I believe there is another question. Between ML effort and effort for flattening the data, what is the split? We'll never know depending on the data. So sometimes, many times we have data which is very complex. The flattening and restructuring the data takes more time than the ML effort itself. Sometimes it is the other way. This data is pretty straightforward. ML takes a lot of time, but we have a rule. We have 5:1 rule, where the data scientist, every data scientist generates at least 5 times more data engineering work, right? Yeah, when we say data engineering work, I'm going to talk about what are those data engineering work. There is another question. Can we incorporate DevOps here? Any viewpoint on this? Yes, we are incorporating DevOps as part of each of the cleansing process, as well as the ETL jobs is based on DevOps. And but of course, data science is a manual activity. Somebody will have to look into the data and see whether it fits into a pattern or not, right? Does it make sense? Cool. Shall we move on to the next step? So if you know, like I mentioned, there is hypothesis. I mean, given an example of hypothesis, if you build a medieval style building in Paris, we can sell houses at a higher price. This is one example of hypothesis. Hypothesis just asserts that something is true, right? And a metrics is something that we want to calculate a value on. What is the average price of house in Paris? That's one example of that. To solve any hypothesis or metric, there is a series of steps that you have to do. One is, of course, data collection. You need to do analysis. You need to do productionizing. Sometimes we have to work with the specific team on visualizing that. Sometimes we have to work, like I said, taking the data to the Salesforce and making it that available in that particular tool, the right place, right time. That is, we call it operationalizing. And then we have to roll it out to many people who need this data, right? So all of this combined form the set of things that you need to do to solve a given hypothesis or a metric. And it is a multidisciplinary effort. I believe one of the teams, they had, set of data scientists and data engineers listed there. You are very close to, very close to the experience that we had. So we have data science, data engineering, and rollout teams combining and coming together in one team. That is how we will be able to solve one single hypothesis, which is most valuable to a customer. Questions, we move forward. All right. Shall we move to the next one? So if you see this, right, one hypothesis consists of many of these smaller steps that is involved, but there can be many parallel tracks of this that is going to happen. Based on business priority. So if you go back to our original sheet where we have list of questions asked by the business, what is the most important question that the business wants to solve first? That should be the top priority. And that is why you would see there is I don't know how many of you looked into the priority column on that particular sheet. There is a priority. So based on the priority, you may want to choose the first hypothesis or metric that you want to solve and start collecting data for that particular one. And then do analysis on that. While the data science team is doing analysis on that, the data engineering team is actually free. They can actually start the next data collection part, right? So there is an alternating between, there is a dual track that is already happening. So here you can see, while the data analytics team is doing some more analytics, the data engineering team can focus on productionizing. And similarly for visualizing and operationalizing. So because there is more effort in visualizing, operationalizing, and productionizing, that is why we say there is a 5:1 ratio. So a simple insight that somebody generates, it actually needs 4 or 5 engineers to take that to the place so that business can apply that insight that they got. So similarly, based on the priority is based on the questions that business really wants to solve on. Am I making sense? Somebody asked, what is the most valuable data set? I think Josh asked that question. That is based on which data has got meaning is depends on the business, not on what the data scientists think, right? So we may need to collect some 100 different data sets to solve one question that a particular business person is going to ask, right? Any questions, pointers? Does this answer your question, Joshua? Hello? Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you. I think Joshua is on mute. Maybe you can proceed.
All right.
Sir, yes.
Cool. All right. I will hand over back to Saravana for sharing some of the learnings. I think I already shared one of the learnings, which is very crucial for explaining that. But handing off to Saravana.
Okay. Thanks, Shankar. So I think Shankar already explained how the ratio of data scientist and data engineer will look like. So so they are generating a hell lot of work for data engineers. Okay, it could be a simple insight, or it could be a simple ML model. As a data engineer, we have to do a lot of work to make it production ready insights or ML models. Yeah, that is there. And also, so the early feedback and the partnership with business users is a crucial success for a data project. Yes, I think you have shown that in various slides before. So we need to engage with the business teams, and we have to engage with various business partnership teams to make our insights actually an executable state, or so we have to collaborate with all of them, yeah, to finish the entire cycle of data insights. So other applications, yes, Shankar, I think Shankar mentioned that every team is a data team, every project is a data team. So we need a support of every application dev teams to cooperate with the business goal and to generate the data insights. So yes, so I prefer to have a small team with a specific goals than a huge team. So something like we experienced, instead of having a very big team which is handling a very big backlogs, so split them into small teams, like each segment area having a separate data team, and they will handle that particular segment, and they will generate any insights or ML model in their segment areas. Also, a minimum platform team, a team of engineers who work with maintaining of data lake, ensuring best practices and patterns. So we should have some sort of a team who is taking care of all those data efforts across the organization. So we have an application dev team who is helping with the data project. So we need to make sure that the patterns, GDPR compliances, security, and governance has been followed in their approach. So we need a small team to handle all those efforts. Yes, yeah, keep learning. Yeah, you have any questions? Shall we proceed with the game again? Yeah, go ahead. Who's this?
Okay, Sarana, just in the previous slide, the last point, GDPR.
Hmm.
So usually engineering team will be the specialist on the language and all those things.
Yep.
BA will be dead, will be on the process and all those things. When it comes to GDPR security and all those things, will it be dealt by separate legal team or how it will be? If it is a new platform, then we can think that the project manager will be checking out GDPR and based on that he will be setting that. But in case of data extraction, we might not know. Data engineer or data scientist might think that okay, we can collect the data. We have the credentials. We just collect the data from the US server to India, and he might use it. That might be illegal, but we may not know that. So, you have any experience? I hope you understand my question. That vague area.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. So it is not just the data engineers and the development team or the BAs can take a decision on it. First and foremost thing, one of the requirement of a data engineer to educate themselves on some of the GDPR, just like security, logging, privacy, and all these things. They also need to know what are the GDPR related restrictions to a larger extent. However, there is always a GDPR consultant is available in every company who is bound by the GDPR rules. So it is a mandate from as part of the policy itself. So it is best to consult with those people while you have a question on certain privacy related topics. Sometimes it could be collection, sometimes it could be processing, sometimes it could be making the data available to a third party. Maybe any of these things, then we need to consult with the GDPR people before we can do some activity on this. You are absolutely right.
Okay, thanks. And one more quick question. I'm not sure it's the right question to pose here. If it is an application project, then it will be very, the cycle will be very proper. We'll be having code maintenance, we have GitLab, the code revisions, everything will be perfect. But when it comes to data project, there is something missing. Like we cannot able to track everything. For example, if it is a SQL query, it may be difficult to track all the old revisions and all those things. There could be some missing. Similarly, if it has a dashboard, there might not be maintenance of all the old revisions because each one thing in the data project will be using different tools. Right.
So what we do?
How do you manage such thing? For example, if one data project might start now, CEO might tell that okay, hold it, we can do it later. The team would be doing some other activity. Again, CEO would be, see what happened to the decision. Just restart and let me know. Again, we have to take it. So, do you have any experience on such kind of thing?
So we, in our projects, what we do is we put all the tools and everything that any query that we ever run, including the Jupyter notebooks and everything that the data scientists do. We put everything in GitHub. So we put everything in Git. So anything that you want to refer back, it is always available to us. Any revisions on this in Jupyter notebooks that the data scientists use for doing say, any activity or any ad hoc query that they run, everything is available on the Jupyter notebook. And the Jupyter notebook revisions are also available in Git. So it is always tracked. So any small variations that something happens is always tracked, and including some of the projects we have specific reports, and each report and the queries corresponding to that, everything is going inside the Git repository. So we are able to trace back to who did what change when, and everything is just traceable there. So we need to do all the practices that we use for regular application development. we need to use that for data project as well. Somebody asked a similar question for ETL. We have Python ETL scripts. We put all the ETL scripts inside the Git repository, and we use CI/CD pipeline to put and host that data pipeline, ETL source code into deployment. We use the unit testing driven development for that. So it can be managed just like your application development. Just the scope is little larger. The larger scope here in this case is actually the data. The unknown part, I think one of the question is also involving around, what is the unknown part? What is the difference here? The unknown part really is in the data, because the data is continuously evolving and changing, and that's what is the uncertainty with this particular data projects. So that is why generating gold once generated is not always gold, because data changes behind the scene, and the business process behind that also continuously evolves, and the mindset of people also changes. And this is exactly why you need to continuously keep that up to date. There's dual track delivery approach. We generate one insight and then let it out to people will not be sufficient. We need to make it available on a regular basis so that the data is always available to see if the gold is always gold or not. Sometimes you may have to throw the old report or dashboard and then come up with new ones. This dual track is going to help you do that, because there is a productionized data that is available in front of customers, right? I mean, there was a lot, but hope it helps you, Dinesh.
Yes, I'm sure. Thanks.
Okay. There is another question from Bharat. Okay. What are the challenges one may face if it involves IoT in AI and ML? Just a general question, any insight? Okay. So let's say IoT, the main difference in IoT projects is that the continuous stream of data that comes on is huge, except that because there is no difference. So you get a lot of data sets that is continuously coming in, but the dual track delivery approach and the action driven approach to the whole data project still holds good. So except that this is a high frequency activity that is always happening. The data is continuously coming in. So it's still up to individuals to really take the data and then convert that to a report, and sometimes derive insights on a regular basis by the data scientist. So the process will remain the same. There is a question. This process is for building traditional data science project. How about the process while building machine learning product like RapidMiner, Alex? Okay. So the feedback cycle, there is an additional feedback cycle when you use machine learning products. So when you use machine learning based tools, the model tuning parameters and those kind of stuff is the differentiator there. So you get feedback not at the action level, but there is an intermediate feedback at the insight level itself. So the data science activity that is happening, it gives a faster feedback to people, especially the data scientist, than other people. It's not fully business driven there. Some of the differences are there like that, but the process can be extended to data science part. It's just the feedback is different. Hope that answers your question. So while you are thinking about these questions, couple of things that we want to do. One is, you did a small exercise today. how would you change your, solutioning approach? How would you change your plan of delivery if you know already all these things, right? So the dual track or the action first approach to data science and data engineering, how would your, the plan will change? So we leave that to your, homework exercise or, or free time doing. You can stay back and connect with us if you have questions. Also, there is a feedback board. I think Jagan shared.
Yeah, I'm just posting it on the chat, so you guys can. Yeah, we are pretty much done with the content. We plan to have 2-3 rounds of the gaming. We actually built a game. Shankar and Saravana did a game, but their QA process did not allow that to release it. So that's why we had to do with the Google Sheets. So we will probably, Shankar, if that is okay, we can share the link of that game to probably they can share feedback offline as well. We can build that game post that, right? So you can feel free to give your feedbacks in the chat or in the link that I just shared. It's idea boards link for a retro thing. So there is, you can just fill what went well and what can be improved. There is a plus icon there that you can create a sticky and put whatever you want to say, and if you want to vote on somebody, you can vote on someone else's feedback as well. You can +1 for that. So this will be helpful for us to probably we can continue this data as a separate series. We can have it every 2-3 months or whatever. So based on the feedback, we would like to take it forward as well, right? The tech and data side for BA. So it was more of a collaborative session. I think we went more into data as well. It was supposed to be very high level thing, but there are a good mix of people. We got data people working in data as well as people who want to know about data, and most of BAs, PMs are also there. So we would like to keep this conversation going. You can use the meetup chat group, or you can use the meetup board as well as the or WhatsApp group to post your questions. We can also play around with that game. Yeah. So there was a question. Can you also share the presentation if you guys don't mind? Yeah, we will share it post this session. I will post it in the meetup messaging board, as well as a recording of this session. Both will be posted. Any other questions you have? Yeah, just feel free to, whatever, if you want to orally tell about anything that we can improve, you can go ahead and just talk about it. So, or any other question, answer, Q&A on the questions on the content, you can still stay back, whoever wants to. We would be it'd be okay to answer that. Yeah, just take a few minutes to, I can also share that screen idea boards and show how it looks like. We got some few feedbacks already. So leave out this action items. You can just click on this, what went well and what can be improved, add this, and you can type whatever you want. And you can also upvote. You can just upvote on whatever feedbacks people have given. Anything that you want to improve about the content or timing? I know we just went a little bit overboard on the time. Yeah, but we will try to share the game and other things on the offline. So Saravana, do we want to share it here in the chat link, or we'll send it separately?
Yeah, I will share it immediately. Yeah.
The link for the game, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
maybe just play around and give us the feedback. So there is a same thing that you had on the Excel. We had it as a small application, a very minor one. So we just wanted a feedback so we can evolve that and maybe use it for learning sessions. I'm just stopping my share. Thanks for the feedback, Dinesh. Yeah, you've given it in the chat. Every fortnight, yeah, we will try to do that. Yeah, so generally BizKnights are a monthly once event. Yeah, so we will see. Based on we can take this feedback, but yeah, we will look at it. So any other feedback from anyone, whoever is here, right? So Dinesh, Anand, Anirudh, whoever is staying back, or if you have any questions, you can put it for the anchors. Thanks, Bharat, for that. Okay, so the chat link, Saravana shared the game. You can probably have a look and play around. We planned for a end of the session to have it, but due to time constraints, we didn't have it. It's I can share the game as well. So this is the link. So you can probably, instead of the sheets, right, you can probably collect data. You can frame your it's like a whiteboarding tool, and then you can say you collect competitive data, probably raw material data, and you can build on top of it something like this, right? You can generate a report. So probably you can do the whatever exercise you did in the Excel, you can try to do it and share your screenshot, post this and post it in the meetup, or you can also give feedback on this particular gaming, the whiteboarding thing, the application, what can be improved. So there is a save and load. So right now you can save it once if everything is done. So when you load it, you can bring it back, but you cannot have multiple versioning right now. So we are working on it. That's why we didn't use this. Thanks, Bala. Thanks, Hari, for all your feedback. Cool. So anything else from others who are there? Gayatri, Bala, Anand. So if not, then probably I'll also stop the recording. Stop recording.